Talk about that situation. A bear charges you. Break down what happened right there.
It happens when you're least expecting it. You just came off the top of a mountain, and my rifle's in my pack. So we came down this giant scree field, and I'm filtering water. We're having a conversation, and actually the packer saved our lives. Like I still talk to the packer a lot. He completely saved our lives. He had his handgun out, I believe a 10 mil. And he just said, "Hey, bears, guys, bears. Here she come." And it was a no BS, full blown, full tilt. I'm coming to eat you. Charge. It was not a bluff charge. Like, you just know. I saw 3 near full grown cubs. Like, there was 4 bears. She's coming, and she was teaching them how to hunt. Like, as I realized it, we were up against a shale slide, and there was caribou bones everywhere. She was teaching them how to chase caribou up and kill caribou.
Welcome to the Winchester Life Podcast. Through insider access to industry pioneers, firsthand looks at cutting-edge tech advancements, and the stories behind the scenes that have shaped the world of shooting sports and hunting as we know it, we'll dive into the sacred places like deer camps and duck blinds, talk about innovation and shooting tips with the world's best, while revisiting age-old traditions of hunting and shooting still alive in our country. I'm your host, Jason Brown, and welcome to the show. The Winchester Life Podcast is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, Winchester Repeating Arms, Winchester Safes, White Flyer Targets, Folds of Honor, Birchwood Casey, Walkers, Winchester Pet, and Winchester Optics. In Alaska, the wilderness doesn't give you second chances, and neither does the game you pursue. Our guest today has stared down charging brown bears, navigated storms that erase the trail behind you, and guided hunters to the kind of experiences most only dream about. When you hunt with him, you're not just in the backcountry, you're in his backyard. From the endless tundra to snow-capped peaks of Alaska, Austin Manelick isn't just a hunter, he's a modern-day frontiersman. A master guide whose life has been built on grit, survival, and a deep respect for the animals he pursues. For over a decade, Winchester's accompanied him into the wildest and most rugged places on earth, depending on its performance from brown bear country to Dall sheep ridges, where a single shot can mean the difference between success and survival. Today we step into his world, a place where the hunt is more than just a passion, it's a way of life. This is Winchester Life with Austin Manelick. Well, welcome to the Winchester Life Podcast. Special guest this week, Austin Manelick out of Palmer, Alaska. He's live right now at 6 a.m. His time, but it looks like it's noon there, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. No rest for the wicked, man. Land of my midnight sun.
Yeah, it's. I wish if you're not watching this on the YouTube channel, let me explain a little bit about where he's at. He's sitting on some high deck of some sort, and there. What mountain range is that in the background?
So right behind me is the Chugach Range, and then directly across is the Talkeetna Range.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'll be in Alaska here in a couple months, and I'm excited. It'll be the Brooks Range. It's not going to be there, but dude, that's quite the way to wake up in the morning.
Yes, sir. Going to the Brooks.
Yeah, going to the Brooks. We'll get into that later. So, all right. So your career, your life is extremely interesting. Just digging deep into your Instagram and Facebook. I mean, for 10 solid years, you've been on some of the wildest, coolest, big game hunting, guiding, everything, man. And there's so many things I want to ask you about, but I want to go back to the beginning with you. Where did you grow up, and was the outdoors part of your upbringing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up right here. I'm doing the same with my family. Born and raised in Palmer, Alaska. Family was like military, and so yeah, born and raised up in Alaska. And that's what you do. I mean, you move to Alaska. Parents came from the East Coast and raised their family here, and then yeah, Dad was always into hunting. Mom was always into adventure, and if you move to Alaska, you've got to be doing something outdoors because winter is dark and cold, and it's not really the cold that'll get you; it's the darkness.
Yeah.
And so, just kind of the lifestyle, just being wild from a young age.
Yeah. Yeah, wildlings, as we call them here at Be Alive. Um, so, so when you're growing up and you're in Alaska, what was your first memory of hiking in the mountains or hunting with your dad, or was that part of like when your early memories?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, parents were at work, and it was spring runoff. I'd always have a fishing pole, be breaking fishing rods and losing lures. And I was just fishing the runoff puddles in my driveway. And my mom always laughs about it. She said, "Yep, you had good reasoning. You said this water leads down to a creek, which leads to a lake, which could lead to the ocean, which means there could be fish right in this driveway."
Yeah.
And so, and it's funny, my son asked me the other day, "Dad, what did you want to be when you grew up?" Well, son, when my parents were at work, I had a set of North American fishing videos, like a set of 4 VHSs.
Yeah.
And instead of watching cartoons, I'd watch bass fishing, and trout fishing. Like, I want to be a professional bass fisherman in Alaska.
In Alaska, that ain't gonna happen. But
Yeah, I didn't know where it was, but I was fascinated with. Was just fascinated with that. With
yeah.
just watching people fishing, and then as I got older, hunting.
Yeah, I think that's the root of it. It's how that being part of where you're at. I grew up in Michigan in the middle of the farm fields and in a small town, and the outdoors was a huge part of our family and what we did. And my mom grew up on a farm, and so I think you're kind of part of where you grow up. But the same way, when I was little, I used to watch hunting video, VHS tapes. That's all you had. We go into, we call them party stores here, or places where you get gas stations. And on the shelf, there's empty boxes. If there was a rubber band around that damn box, well, shit, you couldn't get it. You had to wait till the next time you came in because someone had that VHS tape at home. So it's just one of those things that we'd rent it out, we'd watch it at our place, throw it in the VHS player, and that was a huge part of just imagining yourself doing that. And I think that's part of the whole thing, is that when you imagine and put yourself out there, it kind of becomes part of your future. And I kind of think that's probably what happened to you, huh?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny you say going down to the party store. We had, like, Alaska had the last Blockbuster, like right close to where I live.
No way.
But yeah, there was a special on it, I believe. Maybe not. We'll edit that out.
There was.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I didn't have really any access to hunting videos, especially like Alaska hunting videos. Now, I do remember one of my friends when we were growing up, he had this video that I will never forget, and I have never tracked it down, of this guy. It could have been homemade. I have no idea, but it was this dude who went out and he was, with the Alaskan natives, and he was going and hunting moose, and I'll never forget, like, this set of like 6 moose just walking away, like 60 to 80-inch whoppers.
Oh, man.
And then it would cut to him like hunting polar bears and walrus, and I'm like, I want to do that. Yeah, you just sparked a really deep visceral memory, actually, of that video. I can't believe that just came from like, out of the deep gray matter. But yeah, that actually, you can hear my voice. I just got fired up about that.
Yeah, like, man.
That, what ignites the passion for the outdoors.
Yeah.
at that age.
It's crazy, man. It's for us up here, it was Fred Bear kind of early. He was from Grayling, Michigan, which is just north of here, about an hour and a half. So he was part of like our culture and the bow hunting side of I think Michigan was the first state that really embraced bow hunting, archery hunting, and so that was part of, you felt proud to be part of from Michigan as a bow hunter. But moving forward, it's funny how those early memories really that you don't truly remember, they shape you. They shape who you become, and they are the foundation for what you do in the future. And so that kind of leads into my next question: is at what point did you say, this is what I'm going to do? I see a path in the outdoors. I see a path as this is my profession.
Right. Well, it started in high school, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But high school sports got in the way of a lot of activities, like a lot of outdoor activities of hunting and fishing. And I would always try to sneak out and get a hunt in, or just really got back into fishing because that's what I could do with the time frame that I had. And I would do 1 or 2 hunts a year, like bigger hunts, with dad or family friends. And that's kind of where I was cutting my teeth, like going out into the mountains with my dad's old military fatigues, his old Barney pack, and then Koflak boots, and just getting soaked and obliterated with rain gear that, was, I don't know, Walmart specials, and then when I got to college, I mean, it was such a shift. We're talking from the VHSs into the digital age. And then watching Art Young videos and different things on YouTube. It's like, whoa, okay. So it just kind of gradually developed. And then, outdoor TV, that was a thing where that was like the next portion of cable TV when I got a little older and watching outdoor hunts. And that's kind of where it started. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to figure this out. In college, I knew, I'm like, I'm going to get into, after doing the research, I'm going to get into the shot industry. I don't want to guide because I want to hunt. I need to figure this out, how to make my own videos. I need to figure out how to film, record, and tell a story. And so that's when it really started, was, I guess, the end of my freshman year of college, where I'm like, yep, this is what I'm going to do.
So what year was that?
Oh boy, 2007, 2008.
Okay. Yeah, so that was in the middle of the boom of outdoor television. And I think in 05, 03, 04, maybe Realtree Road Trip started, maybe a little before that. And then, we kicked off Heartland Bowhunter and Backcountry Quest. Dropped came in 2011. That's the first time we went to the Brooks Range. Yeah. But it's, that is an inspiration. And that era in the outdoor industry really was shaped by media. It was shaped by television, and you could feel the infusion in the energy every time you went to SHOT, every time you went to the ATA show. You could literally, it was palpable when you walked through the door. Like, anything was possible. Any partner that you could hook on with was possible to help your television series. As Rusted Rooster, there's a client out there that we could go out and we could work with. I mean, there's so much opportunity, and it's not like that anymore. And I wish it was a small window. I wish people could experience the excitement of that era.
Oh, it was wild. And that was at a time when I had been doing some adventures and like recording some stuff. And that's when I had, I had this rough cut DVD that I could send out to people. Like, I didn't know about a media kit. I'm like, yeah, I've got a media kit. I'll figure that out. I'm like, hey, so what do you want from the media kit? So I'd tease it out, and so I wasn't really there yet. And I'm not saying I am there yet now, but it was interesting. I was learning the industry on the fly, where I'm like, do it live. I got enough money to go to SHOT and do these things, start going to the shows, and then seeing people from TV. I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it was funny when I first got my start. They were like, yeah, we have no interest in this show. I didn't know that it had to be packaged. You had to have and that. Like, how it was all supposed to work. I just had a bled together hour and a half long
Yep.
DVD with kill shots and different stuff. I just didn't know. And somebody took me on. They said, we're not interested in any of this. Can you run a JVC 700? I'm like,
the answer is
absolutely.
yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah. On mini DV tapes, I'm like, oh yeah. So that's kind of where it began in that boom. And I'm looking up to guys like you and the Keepers, and seeing people do like really cool stuff with the best of the best cameras.
Yeah.
And it was a wild time.
Yeah.
So I mean, still is.
It still is. And there's no template for it. I mean, there's so much of that stuff back in the day we learned too. And, I graduated college in 2000, and that's when I started a couple years after the Outdoor Channel really got going. I was putting pilots out of my college apartment. And so there was no hard and fast way. There was no internet to learn. There was nobody that I knew of produced TV back in the day. So I was learning it all the hard way. So about when you came into it, there was a few systems in place, but it was still, you're still trying to figure it out. You're still trying to figure everything out. So I don't know, man. In the end, it's gotten to this point where, you are now, one of the most successful guides in Alaska for a lot of reasons. But I want to take it back to, I think it was 2013, Ultimate Survival Alaska. Talk about that.
Oh boy. So basically, trying to learn these systems, right? And trying to learn how it all works, how they piece together, and trying to get into production companies for the outdoor, like the Mega. There was a company I worked for that produced, I don't know, like 60 something shows, maybe give or take, but a lot of shows. And I started filming for them, and then filming my own hunts on the backside, and realizing that, like, hey, this is going digital, like social media, YouTube, like just different platforms. Like, this is going to go a different place, I think. And that's where I created, I started Mission Alaska to start to learn that process.
Yeah.
And then I made a few videos, and National Geographic, or the production team, they reached out to me. They're like, hey, would you like to be a National Geographic explorer contestant on this show? I'm like, well, what show is it? Like, Ultimate Survival Alaska. I'm like, do you get a hunt? They're like, yeah. If you use your longbow, sure. I'm like, all right, tell me more. And like, okay. And then that was how they found me, and I got onto the show.
Yeah.
But there wasn't as much big game hunting as I would have liked. Practically zero.
Yeah, right.
So, and it just ate up one of my hunting seasons. And that's why I was like, I just missed a sheep season for this, and a moose season.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to do this route.
No, you made the right decision. We've done a lot of stuff with the History Channel, Travel Channel, Discovery, Nat Geo, with some of that mainstream survival / hunting, and it never really pans out. I mean, it's kind of like in that industry, you're kind of used for, I think this might work, or it might not, or maybe we shift what our network wants to focus on next year, and that show is complete. So, they make, from a production standpoint, they make the money lucrative enough that it makes sense at the time, but you do miss out on stuff that, it doesn't truly build your career. It's something you can always say you did, but nobody, it's not respected like it would have been if you'd had a year of guiding in 2013 for sheep and moose. It doesn't really do much for you. You know what I mean?
No, it was a good story. And I will say, like, we visited some places. A lot of the places were national parks where there actually is no hunting. Yeah. So, we flew in by helicopter, and it was like, well, I'm not even going to string my bow. Like, yeah, because you can't hunt with a helicopter in Alaska. But you're right about the lucrativeness. And visiting some of those places, I'll never visit those again. So that was really cool. Visit them on someone else's dime, which is really cool. Like the Valley of 10,000 Smokes near Katmai. Oh yeah. And a lot of big bears, whatnot down there. It was a cool experience. There was bears sniffing our head underneath the tarp. Oh yeah. But hey, that's the lucrativeness.
Yeah.
How do you kill a bear? You lure him. That's you know that movie,
Oh yeah.
Anthony
Yes.
Hopkins, The
It's
Edge.
one of the
So
best.
I got lured. I was
You
lured.
got lured. Well,
I got lured.
at some point though, you said, "Hey, this is cool, running the camera," and that's the inroad for a lot of young outdoor, production and outdoor industry people. Is put the camera in my hand, get me in the environment, and I'll meet people and I'll grow it from there. But at some point, you said, "I'm putting the camera down. I want to be a guide." Talk about that process, and then talk about just getting your certification. That whole deal.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, a lot of people have told me from filming my adventures and where we met, and that's kind of how it rolled into the Winchester family was doing the some product videos and interviews with their pro staff and the keepers and
Yep.
Bachman, the Drury's, like to name a few, and them just talking about their success. Live at SHOT Show, we're talking about this,
Yep.
and their experiences with the product before it was launched, or
That's
however
right.
it may work.
Yeah.
And I was filming my adventures, and my wife and everyone, immediate friends and family, man, you should be a guide, because essentially I'm taking out friends and family, and I was going out myself, and it was just like, hey, we got 3 days. It's a long weekend. You want to go get a goat? And my wife's like, yeah. We go out, go get a goat. Hey, there's a couple more up there. Hey, you haven't killed one. To one of my buddies, like, you want to go get a goat? Like, never done that before. Yeah. Like, all right. And my wife really pushed me into becoming a guide. She's like, you've been doing this a long time. You've been doing the digital marketing. We've got kids. And really kind of started right when I had, or my wife, we had our son about 7 years ago. That's when it like really nudged me over the edge of like, yeah, I do need to do something different. I can't make the argument for the income that I'm making to spend the time away, and it's going to be tough with a little one.
Yeah.
And then let alone another little one. So that's kind of where it really started. Was I needed to set another goal, and I actually was on a hunt, and this is kind of like a little bit deeper, but I was on a hunt, on another goat hunt, and I was doing it. I was actually filming a short for Winchester for like part of what I do.
Yep.
And I got up, and like that footage is buried, and that was kind of like a turning point. And I talked to the minds that be about it. Yeah. And I flew out, I got in the line, I got this special permit, set up the pilot, I flew out, there's the goat, I hiked up the mountain, I was filming, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I set up the tripod, put it on the phone scope, put up another camera, the goat's there at 200 yards, I'm using a 300 Win Mag, extreme weather, stainless steel, and at that time, Expedition Big Game Long Range, 190 grains. And I laid down, I put that billy in the scope, and I'm like, oh, just a solo goat hunt. I looked at him, I'm like, I felt like it's not there.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is really weird. I'm like, man, this is really weird. It's just standard operating procedure, like waking up, going to work. It was autopilot.
Yeah.
So I literally, this may be the weirdest thing. It's definitely strange for me, but I stood up and I looked at the goat and I just said, today is your lucky day, bud. I'm going home.
Unreal.
And he just looked at me, stood up, and I just packed up the cameras and said, what am I doing? I'm just, what's another mountain goat on the wall? I can't,
yeah,
I would have to really think hard, but I got, I don't know, 6 to 10 personals. Like,
yeah.
I really have to think about it. Like I'm at the stage where I'm like, oh, if you like a goat skull, somebody, yeah, here, have one. And I have like the big ones, and I'm just kind of like, huh, that's really weird. What am I doing this for? Content? Yeah. Like, I should be taking someone and making an experience and doing this differently.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a turning point really for me of like, yep, I need to start I need to start guiding.
Yeah, that's wild,
So
man. It's like kind of like that Walter Mitty moment when, I don't know if you've watched Walter Mitty before. It's a film, and there's a photographer that he's the world's most well-known photographer of just wildlife, and he's up trying to get photography of a snow leopard, and he gets it, but he doesn't take the picture. He just looks at it and he said it's basically it's your lucky day. I wanted to be in the moment.
Yep.
He said I want to be in the moment, and I don't always need to take the picture. I saw it, and it's kind of reminds me of that same deal.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep. It's really interesting. I mean, now when you're talking about moose, or like when the freezer gets low, and if the clients aren't coughing up any meat, because a lot of them want to take it home, which is good. That's the best part, right? Not just coming up to take a trophy, but like the prize, the meat as well.
Yeah.
Really the most important part, in my opinion. So, but when the coppers get low, buddy, cold chills go throughout the wildlife up here.
Yeah.
And then sheep and moose are different. Like, you know, if I always got to get out and experience those in the goats, but
Yeah.
I'll go out and I'll make sure the freezer is full, no doubt.
So at that moment, you're like, something in me has pushed me to a different point in my life. You get your your guiding license. What is that process like? I've heard a lot of people talk about it's pretty stressful. It's pretty intimidating, I guess. Talk about that.
Yeah, so there's less than 400 registered guides in the state. And I don't know how many active, but it's probably over the 300 range of actual guides in the state. And like I run a small outfit. There is a lot of outfits that have like a long history, and I just finished my first year. So I don't know if you could say like I'm the top or the best or anything of the sort, but the process is intimidating. And then I'll skip to the end and then kind of work my way back.
Yeah.
So the process of getting the guide's license. Okay, I finally have it. Guides don't, you have to come up underneath another guide or multiple registered guides. And the old adage is don't train your competition. So it's pretty tough. You've got to come up underneath the tutelage from other guides as a first a packer, then an assistant guide. And then if you can pass all of your exams, when you get all of your prerequisites, which has a pretty high failure rate for the registered guide exams. It's not just one exam, there's multiple exams. The hardest part I found for me was, now you have to find your area, right?
Yeah.
Now you're going to be competing with other registered guides and residents of the state of Alaska. So finding your niche and then getting the correct permits for just to be legal and operating there. That's where I found it was like, okay, I did all that. And then, last year, I'd like to say like, yep, I'm a registered guide. Yep, I did my first year and I wasn't nervous at all. Like, it's kind of like you played sports, keepers played sports. You know, it felt like for a full year until kickoff when we rocked, my first ram of my outfit. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So getting the permitting process and then just being, having the land access to where you're going, finding a good spot and not just taking clients on an armed camping trip.
Yeah.
And understanding your business model and what you are providing and providing the best experience and opportunity you can.
Yeah.
That to me has been like the kind of the biggest challenge. The easiest is just go out and hunt, like being an assistant guide and just going to another guide's area. Boom. It's like, all right, drop me off with my pack and a gun. I'll bring my own food. I got my own tent. Just cut me loose. So that was the easiest part for me was the assistant guiding.
Yeah.
So I worked under 3 different registered guides, and basically how it works, you got your prerequisites, and I won't drown you with it, but in order to be certified for moose, sheep, bear, and mountain goats, you have to register 3 confirmed kills as an assistant guide.
Yep.
The fastest that you can do and sit for your exams, even without the 3 kills, the fastest you can sit for the registered guide exams is 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just go out in one season and crush 120 days of field with clients on the hunt record. The fastest you can do it is 3 years, because you have to have 8 favorable recommendations from clients. And so that's another document you got to give clients. You got to clear it with the registered guide, just out of respect. And so it's interesting. Once you get those prerequisites, you can sit for exams. I sat for 7 or 8 exams. So you've got your registered, your registered guide exams, your game management unit exams, which I took 3. They only recommend 1. Then you've got your field judging, where you sit in front of a panel of registered guides. And then you have to be able to tell what the scores, Boone and Crockett, how to do different things. And they fire you off with questions. And then you have your final exam, which is like a board exam. You go in front of 3 guides from just a very vast experiences, but like legends in industry. So you go and you sit down, you're like, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, that's so-and-so. And those can take 1 to 3 hours. If you go if you're going up to 3 hours or well over 2, you didn't do it
That's
right.
not good.
So no. So I was in and out in 40 minutes, and they're like, and the last thing they said was all right, young man. I'm like, yeah, am I still young? I guess okay, I guess so. But you need to recognize the paperwork now. Your journey has just begun, and it's going to get a lot more serious for you. And good luck.
Yeah, that's
all
awesome.
right. And then I went to the APHA banquet, Alaskan Professional Hunters Association, all the guides, and they all just kind of tipped their hat to me, the ones that took the exam or that proctored exams. And I'm like, I think that's good.
You've been knighted. Yeah.
So that was with my wife. I went and it kind of felt like I imagined that it would feel when you go to SHOT Show and you're an individual such as yourself, or the juries, and people are like, hey, it was kind of like that, but an industry without the John Q public, where everyone's like, hey man, what's up? I felt like I just
that's cool, man.
I got into the huddle where
into
I'm
the club.
all right, I'm playing the game. Yep, I'm into the club. So I'm like, wow, okay.
That's
so
awesome.
That made me feel a lot different and ignited. It's kind of that just another chapter, It's like, all right, another chapter, and now I've got a job to do. And I got to get these clients, and I got to get this next year rolling.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this week's conversation. But first, after the break, we'll dive into everything ammunition on our weekly Ammo 101 segment. This portion of the Winchester Life Podcast has been brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, a world leader in delivering innovative products. Winchester is the American legend, a brand built on integrity, hard work, and a deep focus on its loyal customers. Considered one of the world's leading ammunition manufacturers, Winchester has built its reputation on delivering innovative ammunition products, providing top-shelf customer service, and demonstrating industry leadership. To learn more, visit winchester.com. Winchester Optics. The Winchester Supreme line of optics offers rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, and rangefinders for all of your shooting and hunting needs. To learn more, visit worldofwinchester.com. Winchester Repeating Arms. The guns that work with a reputation built on reliability. Winchester rifles and shotguns are built tough, with superior fit and finish. Winchester firearms are built to exceed expectations. To learn more, visit winchesterrepeatingarms.com. So Ammo 101 this week, we've got Kyle Massanelli in the studio, and let's talk about cartridge development. And as a partner of Winchester for going on, I think, a decade and a half now, we're lucky enough to see the development that takes place, but we see it late in the game. And sometimes we have a one year warning, we're going to shoot this stuff in the field, we're going to test it, we're going to shoot, we're going to create some content, shoot some stories about it. But you guys, it started way before that. What's the process of identifying this is an area that we want to dive into from a development standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. So the key in any type of cartridge development is, and one of the things that kind of sets Winchester apart, I think, is we don't jump into a cartridge development unless we have an identified need by the consumer.
Sure.
Right? By the hunter, by the shooter.
Yeah.
That we know there's a void that needs to be filled. If there's not a void, we're not going to go find a void. Right? We're not going to go try to invent a void just to create a new product.
Yeah, create marketing around nothing at all.
That is not Winchester's strategy. It never has been, and it won't be in the future.
Yeah.
So, you got a couple products here that have been some recent introductions, cartridge introductions over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yep.
These happen to be heavy on straight walls. I know you guys love these straight walls up here in Michigan.
Yeah, it's needed here. It really is.
Michigan was one of the target areas where we identified that need for these straight walls. And we've had some other developments for long-range, big game out western hunting with products like 6.8 Western, these straight walls, 350 Legend, 400 Legend. I talked about that need or that void that we're trying to fill. Of course, the straight walls, and you've done a great job talking about this in the past, is, the straight walls were, hey, there's all these states out there that have either they're slug-only states for deer hunting, or they've got these straight wall allowances for centerfire rifle cartridges, but there weren't great options on those straight walls.
Yeah, it was 450 Bushmaster. Really, in Michigan, going back a decade or more, that is the straight wall option that most guys used, or slug. And when you have youth or smaller framed people shooting a 12 gauge slug, it's not a fun experience.
It's not a good way to introduce somebody new to the sport.
Yeah.
Right. It definitely is not effective in that way. So again, you hit on it exactly as to why these straight wall developments happen. Of course, 350 Legend being the first one, it had a lot of benefits to it right out of the gate. Of course, it was a lower recoil, fully compliant straight wall option, but it also had the benefit, and we designed into the cartridge the ability for it to fit into modern sporting rifles as well, right? Right out of the gate, we said we need something that can fit in those firearms and the popularity of those firearms, because in some states, there's legality to even using modern sporting rifles. At times, in other states, it may be single shot only, in those straight wall restrictions. Either way, we had the ability to develop that cartridge that filled all those needs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So talk about 350 and 400 specifically. What sets those two apart? How are they different from each other?
Yeah. So 350, I just kind of hit on it, standard rim size as, the most famous MSR cartridge, 223, 556, right? Those two cartridges that are usually used synonymously with one another. So it fits with a standard bolt face and MSRs with those. Same loaded length, right? 2.26 inches longer at the longest length, fits there, meets all the straight wall state requirements. Some have maximum case length requirements of, must be 1.8 inches or shorter, things of that nature. So 350 meets all that. At the end of the day, it's a 357 diameter bullet, basically, right? So a 9mm, 357 Magnum size projectile. And then you jump up to the 400 Legend, which kind of was hoping to be the Goldilocks, right?
Sure.
You talked about 450 Bushmaster.
Yep.
We know how effective 350 Legend was. I think most of the crew here had opportunities to harvest
multiple,
early on with 350
on.
Legend. I know I was out in Missouri, fortunate enough to harvest a deer pretty early with 350 Legend that first season.
That first season.
Well, 400 Legend comes in as kind of the Goldilocks. We said, okay, let's find the one in the middle that more energy than 350, but yet nowhere near that recoil level of 450 Bushmaster. So ultimately, a little bit larger diameter case, of course, a 40 caliber projectile, a little heavier, and we were able to make 400 Legend work as well.
So moving to 6.8, there's a unique story there because it was a combined effort to create that cartridge. Talk about that development, where it started, and the process.
Yeah, so 6.8 Western really is, I'll call it an enhancement to really what was prior to all these straight walls and other cartridge developments in the last 6 or 7 years at Winchester. The last grouping of what I'll call successful cartridge developments in Winchester's nearly 160-year history were the WSMs, right? The Winchester short mags. Wildly effective and successful cartridge developments, but we identified there was one gap in that 270 WSM cartridge. And if anybody's out there listening, they may have 270 WSM as their favorite cartridge, and it's a great cartridge.
Yeah.
Don't
Casey
get me wrong.
Kiefer, beyond this wall, that's one of his favorites.
We weren't going to name names, but we know there's some lovers of the 270 WSM, great cartridge. But we said, you know what? There's a trend and a craze and a new technology out there to move to heavier weight, longer, sleeker, higher ballistic coefficient projectiles in so many calibers, usually around that 6.5 range.
Yeah.
And we said, well, you know what? The good old 277 diameter bullets, or 6.8 millimeter, if we're looking at the metric system, they never got that treatment.
Yep.
Why not? Is there a reason it hasn't been done? Well, and the answer was there really wasn't. It can be done. It's going to be more effective than the 6.5s. So now let's take that 270 WSM and make some modifications to it so it can now accept those longer, sleeker, higher BC bullets. Well, to do that, we had to create a cartridge that had a faster twist rate.
Sure.
Right? And what's twist rate? Well, it's the speed at which that bullet is spun up as it travels down the rifling of the barrel. Well, we made the modifications to where 6.8 Western could accept those longer, heavier, sleeker bullets, while at the same time wouldn't have any interchangeability issues, right? Nobody put a 6.8 Western in a 270 WSM, vice versa.
Yep.
We always have to think about those things when we're designing new cartridges. And voila, the 6.8 Western was born, right, with some bullet developments, that case development. We had some rifles chambered in it, and man, successful right out of the gate.
Yeah, and it's not a one-sided, when you're talking about 350 or 400, it's not a one-sided ammunition-only conversation. You're working with firearms, right?
Correct.
And that's another part of the equation that's not always easy to figure out.
Correct. Yeah, we can design all the cartridges we want, but if we can't get adoption or belief in this new cartridge by somebody that produces firearms,
right,
doesn't do us any good, right?
Yeah.
We need the firearms out there to marry up with it.
Yeah. So let's backtrack maybe a couple of years. 21 Sharp introduced.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, well, 22 is such a great round. It's legendary. Why are we...
Only since 1889.
Only since 89.
Yeah.
So why are we changing that? But you guys had a great thought, and again, it's you guys thinking in an area. You're not creating 21 Sharp just for marketing. You did it for a reason, and I think the reasons are super valid.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to what I said a minute ago. We're not going to design something just to be designing something. It's got to fill a void, and that void that we found was 22 long rifle. Again, you said it. Cartridges made in the quantity of billions per year by all the manufacturers out there. You're not trying to unseat that cartridge,
That's right.
It's got staying power. It's going to be there forever. But what about our consumers that, depending on the state or where they're shooting, there's lead-free restrictions?
Sure.
Right? Okay, if there's lead-free restrictions, all of a sudden 22 long rifle becomes a cartridge that almost becomes unreachable for them because the lead-free options out there, we have some of our competitors have some in 22 long rifle. Do they work? Yes. Do they work well? No, They don't work well. The accuracy is usually very poor, and it's because of the design of 22 long rifle cartridges and projectiles. They just don't lend themselves to allow for lead-free construction. We said, well, let's fix this. But we didn't want to just stay with the Magnum cartridges, right? 22 Win Mag or any of the 17 caliber rimfire cartridges out there. Lead-free options are acceptable there. Well, why are they acceptable? Because you can use jacketed bullets in those cartridges.
Right.
You can't put a jacketed bullet in 22 long rifle. Mm-hmm. Here comes 21 Sharp. Let's take that same shell case that we can build at economies of scale unlike anything else, and let's develop a cartridge system, a projectile adjustment to a 21 caliber bullet that can be jacketed just like its big brother in the Magnum family or in the centerfire side, and ultimately make it lead-free that fits that 21 caliber bore. Again, we talked about firearms partnerships a second ago. You had to have firearms partners that wanted to build it and could see the light of saying, well, that's really easy for us to go do. The outside shape is the same as a 22, yes. The magazines, yes, everything will work.
Yeah.
All you need to do is put a different barrel on it. 21 Sharp was born, and now we've got lead-free cartridge performance at a nearly 22 long rifle price point, and we solved the problem.
Yeah. Well, I know you can't say it, but I know there's always things behind the scenes that you're thinking forward. Are there some products that you guys are currently working on that might be released here in the next year or two?
You know my answer is going to be yes.
I know.
That's our role, right? We've got to be always developing. There's things we're working on now that you may not see for 2 or 3 or 4 more years.
Yeah.
Just like the things we introduced this year, or maybe some things coming up at the next SHOT Show, are things that we've been already working on for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And that's how you stay at the forefront of technology. That's how we ensure that we're always helping our customers succeed.
Right on. Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain today in Ammo 101. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that.
Appreciate the time.
Coming up next on the Winchester Life Podcast is part 2 of our guest conversation. But first, a few words from our partners. Nilo. The prestigious Winchester Hunting and Shooting Sports Facility is now an Orvis-endorsed hunting grounds. Over the course of more than 160 years, Orvis has built a brand synonymous with quality, integrity, and the finest service standards in the industry. This recognition ensures that visitors of an Orvis-endorsed operation encounter unparalleled service, respect for natural resources, and an experienced professional staff. Located in Brighton, Illinois, Nilo was founded by John M. Olin in 1952 as an ideal model of conservation. Nilo is dedicated to unsurpassed upland hunting, sport shooting, and some of the finest hunting dogs in the country. Over time, Nilo has filled its guest books with distinguished names and hosted shooting sports competitions and events benefiting various national and local charities. For more information and to book your shooting sports or hunting experience, visit nilofarms.com. And now, back to the show. So how does Mission Alaska, you started that how many years ago?
So I started that right when I graduated college, and in 2010. And I started that because I noticed the digital trend.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, I really think it's going to be something. So that's kind of where I learned. Mm-hmm. And then the media aspect of it, of like, okay, I can tell my own story. It may not be good. I know how to tell a story, but it's tough to self-film.
Yeah.
That's, like solo hunter, timbernet, like,
Yep.
Doing the solo hunting thing. Like, man, okay, this is really tough to film and tell this story. But if you do it enough, it's like, okay, now I know what to do.
Now you know what to do. And now the cameras are so compact and they're so good, and audio is just crazy easy. It's made it easy to pack, to do a mountain hunt. You can fit everything you need in a backpack, no problem. It probably only weighs 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds. And, that's the great thing about now. But back in 2010, that was kind of in the middle of the Alaska boom, I'd call it, from a television standpoint. So you're kind of setting your business up to be almost a consultant for that type of stuff, right?
Yeah, I was just doing adventure, and
Yep.
it's not the grade you make. Usually, it's the hand you shake, and I was always coming back and living in and out of Alaska. Between adventures and filming gigs. I was never planning on being a registered guide because I used to butt heads with registered guides when I was a resident.
Yeah.
Because I would get deep and I'd get in there like, how did you get in here if you didn't fly in a plane? Like, well, see these 2 legs, bud? Hiked right in. They're like,
Yeah.
You hiked in 35 miles from anywhere of the closest logistics. I'm like, yep, must be in a good spot. And they're like, well, we're going this way. I'm like, okay. Well, I'm going that way.
Yeah.
Have a good day, So I never wanted to be a registered guide. And now I try to not be the registered guide that's just like, territory you can't be. Like legally you can't be. I'm like, hey, if you need any help or anything, I've got Starlink and emergency, Riverwise, anything you need. Like I got extra food, so if you need anything, just where we're at. And usually people are like, we don't need anything. Alaskans like tough. Like, we don't need nothing.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, all right, cool. Well, have a good day.
Yeah.
Later on.
So you've you've been on a lot of hunts. You've guided a lot of clients. What is it that you love so much about it?
Like now that I'm not hunting as much personally, and I haven't really put the camera away. Like I always film the adventures, but now I don't have as much time to edit them. When I'm dialing in all the logistics, building boats, like changing water pumps, just making sure everything from a safety standpoint is first and foremost. So now, I mean, it's a heavy stress load. And so now the only thing that really gets me going and I really enjoy is when a client is out there and they're enjoying the experience, not just the kill, but the whole experience. And I see just smiles.
Yeah.
And I'm having a good time, even in the hardest doldrums of, not seeing a moose for 5 days or 6 days, or seeing a bear for 7 days, or not seeing anything at all, which we haven't had many of those, if any. But the smile and there's a couple different times from last year where critter gets knocked down like the sheep, and I've got clients who are trying to pick me up and spinning me around like Dirty Dancing on the mountain, just fired up. I'm like, oh yeah, all right,
yeah.
Hold on, just seeing other people get just hyped. I'm like, yeah, man, that's why I'm into it.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's pretty, solo hunting, when you go out and you film solo hunt and you get it on camera and you get everything perfect, you shoot it, okay. Now what's even tougher is taking someone else out, calming them down, and someone who is jacked, they have paid a lot of money to be here, and this is their championship ring, dude. You got to just stay calm, take your time, make it count.
Has there ever been a client that you've guided that's kind of surprised you? Like you saw him, you met him or her, you're like, oh my God, this is not going to go well. But at the end of it, you're like, man, this person really surprised me. Like I had no idea they could have done that.
Yep. I mean, I've told this story, but I've told it on other podcasts about this individual, and just the experience that we had with a bear. Got charged by a bear. That was one of the closest ones, but this client named George, he's a Michigander, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a Michigander.
Okay.
Speaking of which.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, the guy gets off the plane. He's a mountain of muscle. I'm like, all right, this is going to be good. And just kind of unsure on a Dall sheep hunt. And we're getting out there. I'm like, okay, all right, we're hiking out, and I could just tell he's like, this is really tough, and we haven't even hit the steeps yet. And so I'm like, okay, coming back to the camera thing. That's why I'm like, I'm leaving some of my cameras behind. Okay, give me your water. Like, oh, I can't let you do that. Okay, sleeping bag. Let's start with a sleeping bag. It's light. You can keep doing this to try to keep them mentally in.
Yeah.
And so we ended up, me and this packer, we took everything from him. He only had his rain gear, a water bottle, and his rifle. He wouldn't let me carry his rifle. And he ended up missing a Dall sheep. He missed a Dall, and he's like, oh man, I'm done. I'm done. I shouldn't have missed. I'm like, dude, we still got 4 more days. Like, stay in the ball game with me. And then we get up the mountain the next day. We're going to sleep, eat, drink coffee, and get a good breakfast. We're going over that mountain. We're going after him.
Yeah.
We got on that ram again, and he missed him again at 130 yards. Oh boy. And that was pretty tough. And then we need to camp. I took off after him. I thought he may have wounded him, but I digress. We got him to camp. Next morning, we went down, got charged by a bear while filtering water up in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
No tree in sight, just crazy. And I turned and looked at George and said, like it or not, in Alaska, you're always in the ball game, dude.
Yeah.
And he laughed, and he said, I'm done. And I'm like, well, there's still a long ways to get to the airstrip. We still got a lot of hiking. Cat lady ain't sung yet. And wouldn't you know it, we keep hiking down the drainage. We look up, and like, there's the ram we saw on day 2. There he is. He's like, you're kidding me. I'm like, we got one last chance for romance. We got to make it count. And so he killed that ram, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Killed that ram. And then he jumped up to run towards the ram and pulled his calf muscle.
Oh, God.
So surprised when he got off. He's just this really big, strong guy, but in the mountains, it's a different kind of strong.
Yeah.
It's like sinewy strong. And he really surprised me. And actually, he just came up, repeat client. He just came up a couple weeks ago and rocked a nice brown bear with me.
Oh, nice, man. That's awesome. I love those stories. And, I think anybody who hasn't sheep hunted before, there's so many people that'll never get to experience the misery of a sheep hunt. But it's something that's super special. 2012, we were in the Yukon. We went with Midnight Sun Outfitting. We were shooting season 2 of Dropped. And Logan was there with us. And it was one of those hunts where the sun was setting. It was mid to late August, and it was probably day 8, and we were beat up, man. And we knew we had another 30 days of moose hunting once we got back to base camp, and the sheep was way around the rim of this mountain, and it was kind of one of those moments where we're either going to go after that sheep, and we might not get there till dark, but then we got 4 or 5 hours back in the dark, and it looked sketchy too. I mean, it was on the edge of the cliffs. We ended up going back and forth, and we have 2 camera guys, 2 hunters, Logan, all of us going at it. So it's kind of a shit show, and but we decided to go. So we go. We get to, I think Casey was on the gun. I think it was 280, 300 yards. Hit it the first time, and he came up, and then he dumped it the second time, and it rolled way down into this down into the cliffs, and it was a moment like I'd never experienced before, and since, to be honest with you, outside of seeing my kids shoot their first animals, there's nothing like it, because it was like pain, and we're gonna walk back without a sheep, to we got to go get that sheep, but we're going back with our sheep and our story and everything. And there's so much more into it too when you have that camera and you have the pressure of creating a series and an episode and blah blah blah. So we get down there, we cape and quarter, we bring it up, and we go back and we sleep at the base of the mountain that night. And it was just one of those things where if you look at it from a different perspective, it sucked. Like the whole time your body's screaming and your mind's telling you this isn't what we're supposed to do, but you do it, and you get back to base camp, and finally you're like, we did it, man. Like, I feel like that's the way a lot of sheep hunts go.
Oh, 100%. Yep. Yeah, you gotta risk it for the brisket, bud.
Yeah.
Sometimes safely. And that's safety, like going through with different people, various mountaineering skills.
Yep.
It sounds like you guys did the old 2-minute drill, the hurry up offense.
It was, man.
And then trying to tell the story right after, getting the shots.
Yeah.
Everyone's probably like in the background sharpening knives, getting ready to go.
Oh yeah, man. We had to. This went down in this like crevasse, and we had to take him all the way up to the tops. And so down there we caped and quartered, and then we brought him up to the top. But there was a moment where Chris, he does not like heights, and he was kind of on this edge, and we were kind of creeping up. It was almost straight up. I'm not kidding you. And thinking back, I'm like, Jesus, it was a sketchy moment. And we get to the top, and Chris, it was dark. We had our headlamps on, and Chris is frozen. He's like, bro, I can't move. I'm like, all right, we got to take it one step at a time here. And I don't like heights that much either, but I was just on a little better path than he was. So he shimmied over, and we went up, and we got to the top. But yeah, man, it's like, I don't know if I'll ever go on a sheep hunt again. I mean, I'm getting close to 50. I feel like that was my sheep hunt. And I don't have this burning in my gut to go out and kill a sheep at this point in my life. There's so many other things that I like to do. I feel like that one is a good one to just say, hey, that was the one. We documented it all, and we don't need to go back. But talking about sheep, what is your go-to setup for sheep? What is like, this is the ammo, this is the firearm, like what do you recommend for a sheep hunt?
Well, I mean, for what I've been using, and I'm like a little bit different because like, man, I put these guns to work. And I've got model 70s, I've got the extreme stainless steels, extreme weather stainless steel. I have those, but as far as weight and then, using a gun as a trekking pole, when you're in the moment and you're in the shale, you've got, you're like, okay, I need to be careful, but we're getting ready to lay down. I use the XPR. So I've been using the XPR for years. So I started off with a 300 WSM XPR, and I still have that gun. It was old trusty. I just beat that gun up so bad. I mean, it's in a pack. It's rattling around. You're brushing up against, shale and scratching your scope. And, I don't know. I leave some of the fine rifles at home because the XPR, I've always just been a tack driver.
Tried and true. Yeah.
It just goes where it needs to go. And so I had the 300 WSM with Expedition Big Game Long Range, and that was my go-to hammer forever. I use that for everything. I mean, that the 190s as far as ballistics, the power. It was just a heavy hitter in a nice package, and then the recoil. I could put friends behind it. I could put anybody behind it, and not get them gun shy with the recoil of the 300 Win Mag, which that's my moose hunting gun that I bring out sometimes. It's got a bigger bell on it for shooting, but for sheep, it's a 6.8 Western. You can see 5 boxes of ammo. I just keep them. But that one's gone. Down the tower she goes.
Yeah.
But the Expedition Big Game Long Range in 6.8. And so it's kind of similar to the 300 WSM, and it hits like the 300 WSM in the Expedition Big Game Long Range, but at 165 grains. So that's what I use for my sheep and goat guns. And that is, blacktail, black bear, just about any of those, I don't know, smaller to mid-sized animals. That's what I use. I have my, it is perfect for me. That's what I use.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think moose, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, that 300 WSM was and still is probably one of my favorite. I got a Model 70 that I use for whitetail. Love it. It's just that caliber. But you're right. When the 6.8 came out, it kind of, with the tighter shoulders and it's just designed different, and the ballistics are just out of this world. So the 6.8, and you were part of that. Yeah. And you were part of that launch. So you had a 6.8 before anybody else did, and you were using it in the most rugged places in the world to hunt, big game. Talk about that first year of using the 6.8 and putting it in your pack, and what were the results?
So, the results were, I killed every critter in the state that you can get, over the counter, or one of my friends did with that gun. It was just all right, I need to put this through its paces. So it killed brown bears, black bears, mountain goats, moose, sheep, goats. And then just recently I killed some. Did I use that on blacktail that year? I think I used that on blacktail as well. Maybe not that year, but that's what I use now.
Yeah.
But it hits like that 300 WSM, but at 165 grain.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then longer range, just the lethality of it it's substantial.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So, now moving to moose, what is your go-to moose setup for firearm caliber?
So 300 Win Mag, and I've been using the Expedition Big Game Long Range. That's been my go-to. With a ballistic tip, it just does what it needs to do. I've used it a couple of times. I'm like, this just works. So I did use the ballistic silver tips for a little while, and the 180 out of 300 WSM, but I would go with at least 180 grain, 190 grain for moose, but Expedition Big Game Long Range is what I've used, and I've been using that for years. Yeah, so that's what I kind of use for moose and the bigger critters is the 300 Win Mag.
Yep.
And 190 to 225 grain.
Yeah. Yeah, that first year on Dropped, it was day 18. We've been So it was hard for us. Our mentor is Larry Bartlett. We did a lot of float dragging. That's what we do when we go up in the Brooks Range. And he told us, boys, call from camp. And we wanted to kind of go chase a little bit. We saw, let's go over to that spot or that spot. He's like, just trust me. Give it time, call from camp. So day 18, we have 110 miles on our float. We're like 90 miles into it, and we're almost at the confluence, and we're like, we blew through so much because we had so much rain and the river rose, and we blew through so much good moose hunting. So finally we dubbed this place Prayer Point. So we're going to pull off at this spot. Let's call it Prayer Point. It looks good. It's got everything we're looking for. Let's just set up shop here, man, for like the next, 8-10 days. Well, the second day in of calling, it was in the middle of, we're just sipping coffee. There's a little bit of rain, and we just look across the river, and this giant comes out of the willows, and he kind of tips his antlers out to get them clean, and he's walking the shore at 180, just like that, 80 to 100 yards. He's walking across on the other side of the river. And Chris is on the gun. Casey had killed a caribou early in the trip. So it's Chris's turn. 300 WSM, right behind the shoulder. It runs, 20 yards. He shoots it one more time, and it just goes back up on its back and just falls right there, right across the river, right on the shore. And it's like, yeah, Larry was right. Call from camp. And 3 days later, Casey killed one with his bow, came into camp, a 55-inch bull. So it's just one of those things where you're learning things along the way. But to your point with the 300 WSM, that was our go-to back then for most big game. It was just such a great, until the 6.8 was created. And then that kind of changed the game for us.
Yeah. So what ammunition were you guys using for that adventure?
It was, I believe it was ballistic silver tip. At the time. Yeah, hammers. The DRT, like DRT, dead right there. Yeah.
DRT, dead right there.
So talking about, we're talking about, hunting ammunition. There's a real threat, obviously, every time you're out in Alaska, remote or anywhere, there's this threat of bears, and there's a threat of, you got to protect yourself. There's been a long debate about, it used to be the 44 mag was the go-to. That's what I use. I use a snub nose 44 mag, and I use the big bore in that. And the guys use the 10 millimeter, the Glock 10, and they use the big bore in that. But there's always been a debate. Well, there hasn't always. It's been recent. 44 mag or 10 millimeter. The argument is recoil with the 44 mag and less recoil with the 10 millimeter. You can fit up to 15, 14 in the mag, 1 in the pipe with the 10 mil. 44 mag is usually revolver. And so what is your theory on that, and what is your go-to?
Only good is the gun you can shoot. Like, if you can't shoot it accurately, you have more shots. But
that's right.
I've seen people just do a halo with a 10 mil. Was that a jabs? Yeah. That was back to the story with George, the client who surprised me. A 10 mil circled this bear, but it was enough to scare it off at 2 yards.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
Yeah, falling back.
So talk about that real quick, though. Talk about that situation. A bear charges you. Break down what happened right there.
I mean, it happens when you're least expecting it. You just came off the top of a mountain, and my rifle's in my pack because we came down this giant scree field, and I'm filtering water. We're having a conversation, and actually the packer saved our lives. Like, I still talk to the packer a lot. He completely saved our lives. He had his handgun out. It was, I believe, a 10 mil. And he just said, "Hey, bears, guys, bears." And we're in the doldrum after 2 shot opportunities on Dall.
Yep.
And these bears, guys, bears, all calm. And I'm like, "Oh, sweet, client's got a grizz tag, and it's open." So like, I kind of come up, and here she come. It was a no BS, full blown, full tilt, I'm coming to eat you.
Yeah.
Charge. It was not a bluff charge. Like, you just know. I saw 3 near full grown cubs. Like, there was 4 bears, and pretty all equal in size. So they were probably in their 3rd year. 2 to 3 years old. Like they should have been kicked off, but she's coming, and she was teaching him how to hunt. Like, as I realized it, we were up against a shale slide and there was caribou bones everywhere. She was teaching him how to chase caribou up and kill caribou. She thought we were caribou. And so when the gun opened up, he pulled out, he dropped his magazine, grabbed it, picked it up, jacked one in, and she was right there. That fast. Bears, guys, bears. Okay, cool. And I was ripping my rifle out of my pack and screaming, and I didn't even have enough time to jack a round in.
Yeah. I
was just leaned back and grabbed a rock, and I figured I'd do like one last shade of smoke before someone just gets eaten. I don't know why everything kind of slows down, but not really.
Yeah.
And that packer, he missed. So he missed, but it was enough to scare the bear, and like he may have just zipped right over the top of one, but there was nothing fatal. We tracked, there's no blood, and couldn't find her or the cubs anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, like accuracy wise, I mean that bear should have been dead right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that bear should have been dead right there. So 6 versus 14 with one in. You know, is the old saying, like, I get good when the barrel gets hot. No, it should be.
Yeah.
One and done. And then weight wise is a little bit different with depending on what 44 you have. And I have a 500 Smith & Wesson that I carry sometimes in different big bear country when I'm like, I need a train stopper right here.
Yep.
With some heavier ammunition. When you see some of these brown bears just soak up 8-10 shots out of 375s or 338s, and it's just pumping along. It's interesting about the breakdown of bears and hitting them in the lungs and versus hitting them in the shoulders and breaking them down.
Yeah.
I would just say very well placed shot through the lungs, but brown bears, you know, they're only taking like 13 breaths basically a minute, and their heart isn't beating very fast, like 13 to 20 or something like that breaths. Like they're real slow breathers.
Yeah.
So it might take them a little time to die, but if you don't hit them, if you don't hit them in the lungs, they're just going to be flopping around, and you're going to have to be going after a wounded bear.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of different arguments. Some people could say that's right. Some people would say that's wrong. Good shot placement, which actually on a bear, you would think is right, like tucked right behind the shoulder, but it's actually just
back.
A little bit back.
Yeah.
It's a little bit back. So let the air out of them. It'll work. The 500 Smith & Wesson, though, when it happens, 500 Smith & Wesson are coming straight on, basically chin down. They're looking to hit them in a straight line, like chin down to shock them and drop them. But carrying that 500 Smith & Wesson versus a 44, which is like 7 pounds, that's your whole camera setup.
Yep.
Versus like something a little bit more lightweight and compact as a 10. I don't know. It's still, I've got them all. Like,
yeah.
It's kind of like, what shoes do I wear today? You know?
Yeah, I think the 10 mil train started maybe 10 or 15 years ago. It was always 44 Magnum. I've got that Ruger Alaskan snub nose that I've carried for 15 years. Never had to pull it out. You know, none of us really have. I guess one time I was running the camera and we had a sow bluff charge us in the river. She had 3 cubs and she bluff charged us. We knew she was bluff charging. It's weird. When you see it happen, you're right. Like, you can read them immediately. She was super curious. We had 2 rafts in front of us. We saw her in plenty of time. Like, we saw her for 10 minutes and we anticipated this could happen. She had 3 cubs up top on river left. They came down and we knew they were going to come into these oxbows, and is a silver run, so they were pushing silver back in the oxbow. She was eating them, and the cubs came up river, and one of them saw us and bawled, and we're like, oh boy, you know, this could get interesting. So we put the rafts in front of us. You know, I'm running camera. Jameson Crast, who was running camera on the other one, and then Chris and Casey had rifles out. I had my hand semi on my 44 Magnum, but I was still running camera. She ran at us kind of 75% right upriver, and water's going everywhere. But it's weird. You could see in her eyes like she wasn't coming to kill us. She was just super curious. And when she saw who we are, she got up on her back feet and just kind of went up and towards her cubs, and she went river right up into the willows and never saw them again. But then you have to float down past those willows that she just ran up into. So that was a little sketchy. But we had a bear outside of our tent one year up in the Brooks. Again, it wasn't. I don't know, man. It's in the Brooks range. I feel like there's a little more warning. You're not constantly in the heavy willows like the Kenai or some of those other places that you're getting in the deep jungly stuff. And where we're at, in the Brooks range, there's not a run of salmon. It's grayling, so they're not really on the rivers much. So it's just a different type of bear. It's all grizzly there. But it's interesting when you talk about what you're using, and a lot of guides I think have their own method. And like you said, if whatever gun you can keep on that target, that's the one you want to carry.
100%, and that's why now I carry a personal like a 45 auto. I've got that when I'm up in the mountains for sheep. And come to think of it, I was just coming back from my fishing adventure. We were all camped out fishing with the family, putting reds away, and my wife wakes me up like, oh yeah, there's a bear. I came out the tent. I always keep that thing on me, always keep the gun on me. I came out the tent, and there was a brown bear in the back of my truck standing there trying to rip open coolers. Hey, hey, hey! He just looked at me. I'm like, pow! I just shot over it. I don't want to deal with a stinky bear and a tired family right now.
No.
And it took off. So now my truck's got a couple of tattoos on it.
Really?
Climbing up into the back.
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
I'm like, oh, great. The new truck just became the old truck.
Life in Alaska, man. Life in Alaska. So do you have I'll call it a white whale hunt? And it doesn't have to be an Alaskan hunt. Do you have a hunt that just is burning in you and I know you earlier talked about like that went away for yourself personally, but is there something you want to hunt that you haven't been able to yet?
Yes. Like the only hunt that I really do now, unless the freezer is full, I get like one personal hunt a year, really. With timing and just not being away from my kids and my family, that eats me up, because I want to take them out and do adventures, and they're just getting to the age where I can push it a little bit with them. Their tolerances for Alaska and the suck. The good kind of mental toughness building. But whitetails, I go down with my buddies and I'll hunt whitetails somewhere. This year I might go to Idaho. I got the Idaho tag before it all went draw. And then I used to hunt Pennsylvania whitetails. So whitetails still really get me going I think it's probably one of those, I don't get buck fever in Alaska whatsoever. There's just no room for it. It's fight or flight, and I'm always fight.
Yeah.
With whitetails, I'm like, everything's got to be perfect, and I'm always on flight. I get excited for whitetails. Probably one of those core memories of watching Real Tree Road Trips and a bunch of these different shows. So, my white whale hunt that I really want to do, and I eventually will once we get some of our other life goals, like a new house, because now my wife's kicked out of the garage and all of my gear is inside and kind of ran out of room. So I gotta get that going. But the white whale hunt for me is Marco Polo. Doing a Marco Polo hunt. I'd like to do like the North American Slam is cool. I would like to do that, but for the price, it's like a Marco Polo, a Tur, or like a Russian snow sheep, like doing something that down in lower 48, I'm still in my comfort zone. I don't feel like I'm out of my comfort zone, but like I want to go back. I want to feel like how I used to feel when I was first going out and trying to figure out Dall sheep or like my first mountain goat. I want to learn and be out of my element,
That's right.
If that makes any sense at all.
Total sense.
That's the hunt, is to go over there. Not for bravado or anything, but like I've always been fascinated with giant curls, and Argali's, like that would be really great. That's the one that if I could hunt one, I'd do a Altai Argali, the biggest of the big. But $120,000 hunts right now for that, which is the last price that I got. I think I could invest it a little bit better in maybe a new truck. That's what those are going for.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy. So
how about you?
Oh man,
you got one?
It's funny. I've been on a lot of moose hunts, obviously, but I've never had. I was able a couple seasons ago when we were in the Brooks, killed my first mountain caribou, which was cool. I'd love to kill a moose. I would love to kill a Yukon moose. I feel like I've been part of so many, telling the story. We do it all together. I'd love to have an opportunity to kill a big moose on the river. That's probably the one that sits out there for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, it sounds like you're up. You've been doing the hard yards. Sounds like you're up.
Yeah, one of these days, man. One of these days, it's a cool hunt, and I love the style of hunting moose from the river. I just love it. There's something about it. And we do all that stuff DIY up in public land, up in way north of Fairbanks. So it's still cool. You can still do it on your own, and there's just no predictability when you go up into the Brooks Range either. I mean, the biggest factor is you just don't know you never know. There is no story that's the same. It's always something different. Nope. It's always something different.
You might not see anything. You might go home after doing all the hard work and being there, and you come back and you got to be good with that too,
And we've done that. We went a whole 29 days without seeing a big game animal. We saw it was an exploratory river that we were on, but hadn't been hunted for 10 years. The fishing game just took like 100 black bear off it because they were, killing so many of the caribou. So it was a caribou. You couldn't kill any caribou because they were still kind of trying to let them come back. Killed a bunch of black bears. The only thing that was left was moose, but hadn't been hunted for 10 years by any humans as far as they knew. And we hunted it and never saw a moose. We saw a lot of sign. It was just one of those years, but we still made, I think that was season 3. We still made a good story out of it. Of course, it's always, and that's the year we got charged by the sow. And I mean, there's other stuff that happened. We were on a silver river. So, it's just all part of that. But, so real quick before we wrap up, what's your year look like this year? Like, I know you're getting ready to get rolling here and probably sheep or whatever soon. How's it starting now? What's your schedule look like through the end of the year?
So like the year never really ends. It's kind of wild with, like talking to the clients, following up, doing all the paperwork, and then making sure all of your kit is good. So right when it's in the wintertime, I'm taking different supplies out and, going a few hundred miles on snow machine to get certain supplies that I take it out and I bring it in. And then the summers, the rivers open up. Like I've got rivers all around me right now, connecting to Matanuska. I test out my motors. I developed new boats. Last year I had a boat got destroyed. The Packers flipped a raft and it had been a section. And so I had to develop a new raft with a new motor. And so that's what I actually got to do today is I'm developing another new boat. I just got all the motor on. I'm loading all of the equipment for 2 sheep hunters. And each sheep hunter has a guide and a packer. And then I get out there with them and middle line back and coordinate and spot and help. And last year I guided one, but for max opportunity with this older gentleman, archery hunter, I'm kind of splitting it up. So yeah, it goes sheep. I go from my 2 sheep hunts, and then it rolls into 2 different, 2 sheep, 2 sheep, 2 moose with predators in between. And then I'll guide 3 goat hunters. At least I might do a blacktail hunt. And then this year I got the unlimited tag. So that might be another white whale top secret squirrel mission.
Yeah.
But I've done that one before. So that'll be like my personal hunt near the end of, they'll roll into Idaho whitetail. They'll roll in end of October.
Yep.
And then Pennsylvania, I might sneak out for opening day. You never know.
Yeah.
Opening day whitetails.
Right on, man. That's cool. Quite a life. Quite a life. I think, if you could kind of summarize, what's it mean to be part of the Winchester brand, part of that history, that legacy? Like, you're part of it. You're field testing ammunition. You're out there, and you've been part of it for a long time. What's it mean to be a part of that company?
Man, with everyone that's been through and all the stories, you almost feel like you have like imposter syndrome. Like I look back and some people say like, look what you've done. Like, oh man, I'm just like having a good time, having smiles, making memories, So just being a part of the brand with like so much history and the legends who have came through it and have pushed the brand and put them at the front of industry. It's very humbling and man, it makes me want me to walk a little taller, pull the shoulders back a little bit more, maybe be a little bit more stoic. I'm not sure, but just try to represent the brand and the legacy the best I can.
Yeah.
So it's it really means everything. I've been a part of the family. They saw something in me a long time ago, and they've taken care of me, and I hope to do the same and live that life, live the brand, and just continue to be proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, man. 40 years from now, what do you want your kids to say about you? Who is Dad? What was he? What do you want them to take away from what they saw their dad when he was young and strong?
Oh, well, I still hope 4 years from now I'm still young and strong.
4D.
Once
4D.
that strength leaves the building.
4D.
4D.
4 decades, man.
Oh, yeah. 4 decades. My kids still say it, but I want them to just say, like, you're the best dad in the world. I love you. And when they see it, they're going to be like, Dad was a heavy hitter. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Like dad to them is always going to be a legend, but I hope that in 40 years I got little grandchildren and I'm explaining to them about the good old days in Alaska and how to get around and what an outboard motor is and just spending time with them.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking time early in your day. It's been great talking to you. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at, all these questions. We couldn't even get to them all. But maybe we need a part 2 of this. Maybe you need to come up and whitetail hunt with us this year. We've got spots, Missouri, Ohio. I mean, that would be awesome for you to come up and do a little whitetail hunt. Fun. Yeah. You need to come to we have a Winchester gun camp in Ohio and in Missouri, so you need to get on Gilbertson about that. That would be fun to have you as a part of that. Man, I'd be honored. That'd be a lot of fun. I appreciate that invite. Thank you. Absolutely, man. And we'll have to talk about next adventures in Alaska and getting you guys up and doing some fun projects or just getting out on adventure. Would love it, man. Well, Austin, thanks for your time, brother, and good luck this season. Be safe, and hopefully we'll talk again here real soon. Yeah, amen. Thanks a lot for having me on, man. See you around the campfire. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this week's show. Please make sure you click the follow button on your podcast apps so you never miss a new episode. This episode was produced by Aaron Cox and Jason Gilbertson, engineered by Jason Freer, directed by Chad Andrus, written and edited by Jason Brown, with behind-the-scenes photography by Kelsey Myers. I'm Jason Brown, and you've been listening to the Winchester Life Podcast. See you next time.